X-Men number 8. What's going on, everyone? We are in September of 1964, and this is the first issue where Xavier has gone and said that he's got business to attend to and has left Scott in charge of the team. And here he is opening up training the X-Men for the first time. Now in this one, we are going against the uncanny threats of Unus, the Untouchable. And this is an interesting take for the team. So just like all the past early issues, we open up with Cyclops leading the team, and this is produced by Marvel's fantastic foursome of Stan Lee writer, Jack Kirby artist, Chick Stone doing the ink, and S. Rosen doing the lettering. Although they have recently graduated after completing their prescribed course of training, the extraordinary X-Men still do postgraduate exercises under the watchful eye of Cyclops, their new interim leader. And so Scott is working them really hard, just kind of throwing them loop for loop. Now, what's really interesting here is Warren says, that's not fair. Why are you working us so hard? That's the purpose of this training, Warren. You can't cry foul if the unexpected weapon is used against you by Magneto or any other foe, can you? Now, there's an important part of this book because Bobby laughs, and Cyclops says, "You're up, Bobby. Now stand where you are and practice refining your ice crystals, as I've suggested." So up to this point, remember that he's looked like a snowman. Excellent. By increasing the degree of cold, your body becomes even more icy, making you almost transparent. You're becoming a regular Sue Storm, kiddo. Shut up, Angel. So right there, two very important things. A, we finally see Iceman go from snowy to the ice version that we all know now. And I believe this is the first time we actually see a crossover mentioned in the X-Men books. So just a really cool panel. Now what I like here is he sees Jean working on her TK powers, and he's saying, I'm really impressed at how you're able to really work since you've come here, Jean. But watch this. He thinks to himself. He's thinking about how much he loves Jean, and he goes, I haven't the right. Not now when I'm supposed to be their leader. Can't listen to my own heart. I must be detached, unemotional. I'd better get back to work. And then just, vroom! You were daydreaming, Hank. See how I took you by surprise? I didn't expect that of you. So just to see how hard he is pushing himself. Nor did I expect such an uncalled for maneuver from you, Cyclops. I was under the impression our training period had been concluded. Our training can never be ended, and you know that, Hank. Our enemies get stronger each day, and we must always be able to match their own evil progress. Perhaps I have been working you all too hard. It's just that I want to be worthy of the confidence Professor X has shown in me. Anyway, that's all for now. You can have the afternoon off. And then we see that Jean feels the same way. She goes, oh, Scott, if only you felt about me as I do about you, but you don't. You just don't. So just like how, as the comic series goes on, we start to see the relationship the two have. Now, there's a happening in town. There's a little boy that's stuck on top of a water tower, most likely on a dare. And Hank says, perhaps I can reach him in time by running up the side of the building. And Bobby goes, Hank, if you do, you'll give away your secret identity. The crowd will guess who you are. Not the time to worry about that, Bobby. Here goes. And this is where you finally start to kind of see where the analogy of the mutants being the other starts to rear its head in this comic series. He saves the boy, bounces back down, but instead of being cheered like the Avengers or the Fantastic Four, did you see how he raced up and down that building like a human gorilla? I've heard there are more mutants in hiding, waiting to take over the world. Did you see how he ran past us like he was afraid of us, like he knew he's our enemy? He probably saved that kid just to throw us off guard, to make us think that mutants aren't dangerous. But he can't fool us. Come on, let's get him before he loses himself in the crowd. And organically in this comic series, this makes sense after Magneto took over that small island, which I cannot remember what the name of it is. But you can kind of see how they're starting to be portrayed as the other. So Bobby and Hank thankfully are able to keep their identities secret, but they get rampaged by the crowd. I'm through, Scott. I've had it. A mob almost caught us. And so Hank leaves the team. Just watch me. From now on, I'll use my powers to help just one person. Just McCoy, yours truly. The human race can go fly a kite. And so he goes to be working as a, well, we'll get into it in a minute. We finally see where Professor X is. He's somewhere in these underground caverns, and Cyclops is trying to report to him what happened with Hank. And he goes, he will not join Magneto's evil mutants. You did all that you could. But what of your mission? I cannot turn my back. I'm on the trail of Lucifer. I shall tell you about it one day, if I return. Farewell, Cyclops. So we see Beast leave, and he eventually becomes a wrestler. So in a sense, kind of like Peter Parker, where he used his spider abilities first to get money for him and Aunt May. But here, just Beast trying to find a way he can make money while using his powers. And he sees this gentleman who to me looks a lot like Peter. He goes, so that's Unus, eh? Looks like a formidable foe. But I'm no pushover myself. And Beast just tries to straight up ram him. You think a mere clumsy rush can affect me? So Beast starts to see that no matter what he tries to do with all his fantastic abilities, he cannot touch this dude. He says, this guy has to be a mutant. Of course. His power's too strong, too unnatural for any other explanation. But even if he joins Magneto's evil band, it's no concern of mine. Not anymore. Which is exactly what happens. Spoilers, if you don't want to be spoiled, pause, go read the story, and come back, and you're back. Unus is trying out for the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and we have Mastermind here just kind of keeping an eye on him. He's convinced that you're a real mutant, and he feels you got plenty on the ball. But he wants you to prove yourself. How? What can I do? Well, if you were to find the X-Men for us, for example, or even to beat one of them, and so that's where the X-Men come into play, and they meet Unus for the first time and realize that no matter what they do, this kind of goes back to how they tried to fight Blob, and they couldn't essentially, knock down Blob, really get a hold on him, and Bobby couldn't even freeze him, even though he's learned to freeze his body. And I love the way how the art team went from showing him that snowy look to giving it more of those just random thatching shades just to give it that nice ice effect look. Now everyone thinks that Beast is back. He goes, but since I'm apparently the only one with the technical skills and the intellectual capacity to devise a counterweapon to Unus, it behooves me to save you from a possible ignominious defeat. Which here they find out that Beast is using this thing to increase Unus's power. So Cyclops immediately thinks that he's joined Magneto. So you can kind of see the paranoia of Cyclops now that he's the leader, where everything is immediately Magneto, 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 and that's just kind of where Scott's at after going up against real life events. But we come to realize that there's a purpose for what Hank is doing, even though through the rest of the issue, no one trusts him. But it's very ingenious of what Hank does to finally defeat Unus and to make him renounce his, his allegiance to the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. And he essentially just says that I'm going back to the wrestling ring where I belong. So kind of a goofy issue, but we kind of start to see all the drama and everything that has made X-Men special for so many years. And then I love this. I'm glad that they kept this in this collected trade of this special pinup page of Beast to show that even back in the 60s, they did this. Because if you look back at some of the annuals from the 80s and 90s, at the end they would show these awesome pinups. So I'm glad that they did that here for Beast, and I think that's the only one. Yeah, then we get into the bullpen. But yeah, it was a great read because we finally start to see how people are seeing the mutant menace, even though they aren't really menaces. I like how we start to see the maturity of Bobby's power and how he kind of deserves that title of Omega level mutant later. And of course, as I said, from issue 1 to issue 8, I'm glad that we finally see that Hank McCoy has his own personality. He's this humble man, but when rubbed the wrong way, he can be dangerous. And sadly, the Krakoan era really kind of sort of killed Beast's character, in my opinion. But overall, great read. Love that we're finally starting to see the X-Men go somewhere instead of it just being all about these amazing teens, yada, yada, yada. It's nice to start seeing growth in these books. Did you all enjoy it? If you have, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it is you like to get your action figures and comics. And if you have the ducats, grab the originals. Or if not, you can see if they have this Penguin Classics Marvel collection. Because once I'm done with this, I'm giving it to my kid so that he can have these when he gets older to appreciate it and all that good stuff. And if you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you mind hitting that fancy little Unis bell next subscribe, that way as I can upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.